If you watched the previous video on principles of graphic design, you get to know that I was repeating element. So what are these elements that I was referring to? Elements of graphic design are the basic building blocks used to create any design. You can think of element of graphic design as an reinforcement for the principles to functions. Without the elements, there won't be any principles that we are applying. Think of it this way, like in terms of law, when a law has been passed and it has become a law, we have some functioning elements that will implement this law. So these elements in terms of law are the police, the court of law, the media, and so on and so forth. But in terms of graphic design, we also have our own elements to implement this law. The law is the principle. So we are using the elements to implement the principle for everything to pass out what we are trying to give out, what's the actual importance of what we are trying to design. And another thing I want you to know before going deep into this video is that when you are using your elements, it varies depending on the type of work you are doing. Think of it, let's go back to that one of the law. If a law is passed that alright, nobody should be awake after 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. 10 p.m. So the way it will be implemented won't require much force. Probably they will be adding fines and code to it to make it effective. And the way the law enforcement, the media, and the other elements will be doing their own functions won't be that much of ash. If a police officer finds you after 10 a.m. you are awake in your house, they can just fine you or give you a warning. But let's consider it in terms of emergency. Maybe jurisdiction was given time to leave their places. Okay, all residents should vacate this place in time. The way the law enforcement will take it up will be much of a force than normal one. Then we'll find someone that will just be like, oh bro, I cannot leave this place. This is my mama's land. I'm an hero here. They will just mark you, say, bro, you know here waiting they talk. Come up for this area. So that kind of feeling that it is different the way we apply the elements. So in graphic design, the usage of elements will be determined by the type of information that you are trying to implement in your design or the story you are trying to create through the design. Let's say for instance, the way you will make use of your elements in terms of a birthday design will be different from the way you make use of it in terms of an urgency for a flash sales design. So that's what I'm trying to let you understand before we go too much into the video. Another thing I want us to take note is when we are talking about element of graphic design, fundamentally we have 7 elements of graphic design, which are line, shape, color, texture, space, form, and value. But in real world context, sometimes resources are mixed up with elements or mistaken with elements of graphic design. So don't let us make same mistake. We have the principles of graphic design, the elements of graphic design, and resources used in designing. So take note, the elements of graphic design are line, shape, color, texture, space, form, and value. Note and note very well again, irrespective of the tools you are using to design, either Photoshop, CorelDRAW, Pixel, Canva, or anything, the elements of design are applicable in everywhere and every design the way you want to use it. So taking the first blow in the house, line was basic elements. They guide the viewer's eyes, separate content, or create emphasis, and lots of more functions that you can use line for. You can use line to create border for your design, just like the way I did for this design here. You could see this line here. And separate content, you can use it for your underline, for your heading. As you can see it here, though it's not generally common, you can only see underline, using line to underline in something like maybe like a topic, or in PDFs or class, this thing, some kind of document. That's where you find using line to make underline. And there in designing, there are various ways you can make use of line to underline your heading, to lay an emphasis on the heading. Laying an emphasis on something. Let's try this out using this same line that we used to create border, to create emphasis on the emphasis itself. You see the effect of it. So I'll duplicate this now, edit it. I want to use it to lay emphasis on emphasis. Now here you have it. You will see that there is no way you want to read this text. Your eye will always go back to that emphasis. Even though you don't want to read it, you don't want to do anything, your eye will still be at the emphasis. You will be coming back to that emphasis. That's how line works. You can use it to create emphasis on something, direct viewers' eyes. Like this now, I'm laying emphasis on emphasis itself, and I'm directing your eye back to the emphasis itself, that see this. Now if I remove it, you will see that you will just be looking at the whole text. Your eye is not laying on anyone, except you just decide to be seeing one particular one itself. So that's how line works. That takes us to types of line. You have various types of line. We have dotted line, horizontal line, vertical line, zigzag, and so on and so forth. Just the way you want to use it will depend on the types of the line that you choose. Is your choice that will determine which line you want to use to design, or the way you want to use it to create your design. You can as well use line to create patterns. You can use it to set your mood in your design or create a background. Let these instances of uses of line on several designs. Let me show you some of my projects that I use line. The one I use line, what I use line to do, some of my projects. Let me see, I think I have a line here. So here you can see the way I make use of this dotted line and this dotted arrow line, here. You can see I'm directing your eye from here to see this particular thing I'm placing here, this text here. Then from here I'm telling you, okay, this is Google Play Store, and for you to see this, you see this, you read this, download the Crave Sports app. You see that, oh, I am to download this. Then you can see this, and this is telling you this, and this is going all round. So if you are missing the information, probably when you see the flyer you are missing the information, the line is guiding you back that, okay, the thing that this girl is holding here right now is the app of the brand. And it's telling you the instruction here, the way to go about it. So if you are trying to miss it, you get to know, okay, why is she, what is this that she is holding? You get to know that, oh, this is the app from here, and here this is it. So that's how you make use of lines in your designs. Let's try out another one, the way it is done, the way I used it actually. So let me see this one. When I said earlier that you can use your line to lay emphasis on your heading, this is the way I used line here to lay emphasis on this heading. You see this two stroke, instead of just being a straight normal line that you normally see, I use this two stroke to lay emphasis on this heading. And as well, I make use of line here to make this shape here to drive out like a shape, and this one separating all this from the rest of the whole design itself. So those are ways of using lines in your design. Use it well and you get a good result. You make your design look much better than just looking plainly blank. Like if I remove this particular line that I used to lay emphasis on this one, you see that there will be a different age difference. Let me just drag it out of it. So you see that that certain particular place is looking plain and there is nothing there. You definitely, when you see the design, you'll be able to see the new developments first, but by adding the line, it gives it another vibe entirely, not just blankly or something. So when you are working on your next project, you can just make use of line to make your work look much better. Just like in the previous design. Now if I go there and remove the line, you see what effect we'll be having now. You know that by seeing this, unintentionally I'm communicating with you to read what I want you to read. Like you follow the line that, okay, this line is directing me here. What is the line saying particularly? Now if I remove this line now, if I remove these two lines, you just have to point blank. You just see the informations. The informations are there. You can definitely read it. You will definitely read it once you see the flyer. You read it. But with the line inside the design, it gives you directions. Like the direction that give you the energy to continue to read and know what the design is really saying, rather than just being a plain design. You can see that it's just like they are in emotion. It's logically giving you emotion inside the design, even though the design is static. So when this is a function of a line as an element of graphic design, then you can check the other elements in the house. That takes us to shapes are formed when lines enclose a space. They can be geometric, square circles, triangles, or organic, free-flowing, and irregular. So we'll take some examples of this. This is geometric ones that we are seeing, just square, circle, triangle. We all know this one. And they can be irregular, that they just form some types of irregular, something that is not regular shapes. So how they form? See, when the line is enclosed, it forms a shape. Here we have a border here where it's forming a square. And as well as I use it in this heading, I ensure I make use of it in this heading. You see how the shape is giving the heading another vibe entirely. So that's the way you can make use of your shape while designing. Taking examples of irregular shapes. These are examples of irregular shapes. You can see them. You see how this is something like this. So these are irregular shapes in which you can make use of this in your design. Let's take for instance this one right here now. This and this and this. So you can just make use of it. Let's download these two images and let's take a quick example. You see how it is used here. See the way they use this here. Happy New Year 2021. So those are ways that you can make use to make your design look more appealing. So let me add the one we just designed. We just downloaded this. Let's see what we can easily create from this. So what if see something that I'm trying to do here. You see now that we have this heading now. See how it is. See the way it is. Now let's try and make it that we use this irregular shape to create the heading now. Now see what we have here. You see that this is looking actually really cool compared to what we have before. So there are various functions you can use your shape to create. You can use it to create emphasis, to lay emphasis, to separate things, to make your background look more suitable. And you can also check it out on different designs, live example, online examples. Let me just search. Let me see. I have graphic design here. So look at this design right here. You can see how shape is being used. Let's see how they make use of shapes here. See shape here. This is a shape that is laying the background here. See this shape here is laying the background for this man here to differentiate it from the actual green background. And this shape too is creating a background for the logo itself. And a quick one I'm seeing now, see the function of line here. See how they make use of line here. I think I should have come here to show you different functions of line. See the way lines are used in this design. See how this line is, you see that this line is also directing you just the way we've seen it before. And this is another function of line, though there is nothing here, but it's creating what should I call it, is filling up the area for the whole design to feel much communicating. You see how lines are used in this design. So those are what you look out for. This is another example where shapes is used. See the behind this guy now. This is a shape that was used. See another shape here, though it's not much, but it creates something different from the one actual design here. If we are to remove this now, you just have a plain white and the guy will not be there, just like doing something like this. If we take this particular design now, and we just take this shape, let's copy it, then edit it. You see that we'll be having another surface entirely for this design if we add this behind the model that we have. Now come back to the front. I'm trying to place it behind the girl or the woman or the lady. I don't know which one you prefer. So you see that now the lady is popping out than before, and you can easily see the text that was written here. You can easily see this text that was written here, and the lady is popping out than before compared to the one before it. So let me try and close it now so that you see the effect very well. These are what you can use your shape to create when you are designing. These are the use of elements. Can you see this? So these are part of elements of the functions of elements in graphic design. Saying the fact all these elements cannot be covered in the whole video, it will just be buying so much of our time. So let's move on to the next element, please. Yeah, so that brings us to color. Color communicates mood, emotion, brand identity, and it's one of the strongest tools in design. Yeah, it's one of the strongest tools in graphic design, in which there is not much we are designing and we will not apply color. There's no way you can do it. So we already have color here and there. See the background. The background is purple. This is yellow. This is white. It's simple. This is just color. So the usage of color now is determined by the type of the design you are trying to create. Depending on the design you are creating, it communicates the mood of your design, emotion, or the brand identity. So if we are using, let's say for instance, you are creating something like food flyer, you would like to use something much of energetic like orange, red, and so on and so forth. So different colors has their own psychology. You have to work with the color psychology. Like red means danger, blue is for trust, red implies danger sometimes, and it has energy and so on and so forth, in which you could see it in Coca-Cola, the likes of Coca-Cola. And blue is used in technology it represents trust, and you can find it in the use of like Facebook and some tech brands. Like if we change this background of this design right now, we'll have another mode entirely. Let's change it to something blue. Let's change it to something blue. Color. So you see now that the dim color that we are having before, we are now having a shiny bright blue, which is different from what we have before. It was calm and relaxing, but now it is now more flashy. It changed the mood entirely. It changes the mood. So let's take a quick example. Going here, let's see the modes that are set by the type of color. Let's search for a brand, like a food brand. Food flyer. Let's search for a food flyer. So we'll decode the mood in each and every flyer that we see. You can see that, let's scroll this. You see that mostly you found red in all food brand. Red, orange, green. It is this color psychology that is functioning in all these designs, and you see that most of them are always energetic and flashy. You can find it calm as well. See this design now. It is red and it is calm, but it is giving what it's supposed to be giving. See this as well. These are the functions of color, where you get to see emphasis on get yours. Emphasis on get yours. And this is another function of arrow. You see that the elements of graphic get appearing irrespective of where you are using it. You have your shape here now. Now we have shape function, we have line, and we have the color here. So choice of color determined how your design is being seen. So properly using your color psychology will guide you on creating more better designs. So get to understand your color psychology, the way the color works, You see that all these are just looking very, very flashy and communicating rather than just creating, let's see a bad design. Let's search for bad design. We definitely have a bad design here. Oh, bad flyer. Yeah, now here you have it. Now here, see this now. See, everything is totally chaotic in this design. It is not even functioning compared to this. Now compare this one up here to this one down here. You see that there is a total difference between them. This to this. It seems they are doing the same thing, but the way everything is arranged is different, and the color choice is not just one particular color that was used. The designer makes use of different color. Pink, which is like a rose related to flower, and it uses ash, and ash is also close to something like sand, like the floor or something like that. The designer can actually make use of something more like brown as well, which is also communicating. So you should understand your color psychology to make proper application of colors in your design. That takes us to the next element of graphic design, which is texture. Yeah, texture. Texture adds depth or feel to a design. Even if it's digital, it makes flat design more realistic. So texture is just how you add more realistic feeling to your design. Texture can be used to create, you can use it to add more feeling to your background or to your text or to any element on your design rather than being flat. Like in this design right here right now, if you look very well, this background right now is having a feel of like a nylon behind it. So let me review that to you so that you understand more better. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. This is a use of texture right here. So looking at this background now, just have it clean. Just have it clean. Now we have something like this. Do you see the background? Do you see this now? Now let me blend this background. So can you see how the background comes to life by just adding texture to it? It's looking more realistic rather than just being a plain background like this. Let's see, let me show you much better. Something like this, more plain and more coming out, but you have to be careful with overuse of the texture. If it's coming out too much, it's definitely spoiling the design, but make it blend. Ensure your texture blends very well. Now you can also make use of texture here. You can make use of texture on your design. Like let's add a golden to this pattern here. Let's give it the golden texture. Let's change the feel of the design and give this, oh sorry, I've no magic, so oh that's an error. Let me see how I can go about that really quick. I can just do this and this and so now let's add our texture again and see what we have. there are various ways you can just make use of your texture, and texture have various types. The one that I'm adding now is a grading texture here. This is a grading texture here. Can you see now? Can you see that this shape now is taking a grading form entirely, making it more realistic rather than just being a flat design that we have before. See here. So let's take live examples as well. Online example of textures. Let's see various types of textures that we have. We have pattern, we have line texture, we have color texture. So let's just search texture background. Let's just search texture. Let's see what we have. So these are various texture that we have. I've even forgotten for these ones. We have these dotted ones, or this line, or this texture. You see, sometimes they are considered as overlay. You can even use your texture to make an overlay on your design to make it feel more realistic. See, this is a brick texture here. Different types of texture, just name it. You find various types of texture, and you can use all this type of texture now. This can serve as your background, and it can as well serve as an overlay for your design. Now if we download this and add it to our design, let's see what we have. I think it will be much suited for the background of this design rather than putting it as an overlay. So let me add the text now. I'm just trying to show you the use of texture in designs. Can you see now? It's creating a surface that you can scratch with your hand, like a rough surface. It's just creating it for the design, and it's still looking good. If we try to blend, let's try and blend it to the background and see what we have. Can you see now? Wow, I think I'll start using this instead of see now. See that the background is now looking more like you can actually grab your hand on it, and if you scratch it somewhere one way or the other, it's looking rough. The surface is looking rough rather than being smooth. With this one, this other one is creating smoothness for the design, and this is creating a rough surface for it. So that's the use of texture. Let's see and more examples on designs that has been designed before. Let me see here. Flyer design. Yeah, we'll be able to see various types of way they have made use of texture. So look at this background right here. See this type of arrow going back. That's a use of texture. See the background. Most times texture is just used as either background or an overlay for design. See in this design here, see that background looking rough. That's a use of texture. This is cloud texture here. You can see this cloudy texture here. So you can use texture for your background or for the or for overlays to make your design to feel more realistic rather than just being blank. You see now, if we are to remove all these texture that are used in this design, like this cloudy one now, it will feel more like plain design. So this might actually be what you have to know for you to have a better design. And not in every cases that texture are used. Like you can see in this design right here now, texture is not used here, it's not used here, but it can create something much better if texture is used. So it's not mostly necessary to use texture in every of your design, but it is important for you to know that texture is part of what makes your design look much better. You see this now, see the background here. Let me click on it so that you can see it much better. Now you can feel like the background is actually real to this design, and there is a light texture raying out from that background, making everything feel more realistic to you. You might not consider all this while you are looking at the flyer, but it is what part of what that is making this design looking more poppy and more attracting to you. So that brings us to the end of the texture element. So let's move to another element, which is space. Space is the area around and between design elements. It prevents clutters and helps focus. We also have space in principles of graphic design, whereby it is in principles. Space in principles is sometimes called, it is mostly called negative space or white space. It is not necessarily white. I made a video on this and you should check it out if you haven't watched it. So it is the actual space that we left in a design for it to have a breathing room to maintain focus and to maintain balance in a design. So space in this context of element of a design is in terms of how to use space, in which in this design right here right now, this white space, the white background behind the space text is a space, while the space we have here is also the space between our letters and the space between this heading and this body of the design. So those are the spaces in the element. These are the spaces you should consider while designing, while making use of your element. What is the space of the box that you want to put your text inside, and the spaces of your text in your design? So let's just see examples of how spaces are being used as an element. So here you have it. You see, this is a way to use your space. See this space between, let me see, I think I should change this. So space between this text and this background, the background of this Hosanna, and the space of the text and the edges of the background. So those are the space. There is a space between this logo and the text around it as well. So those are the spaces that we are talking about, whereby this space here is a negative space which the designer intentionally left without doing anything to it. So you could see it helps you create focus on all the information around there. So the principles space, negative space or white space, is telling you how to use your space to create focus, while the one in elements is telling you use what is space. So this here right now is space, this is space, and this here too is identified as space, and this is space, this is space, this is space. So spacing your design, give it a room to breathe, to create focus, to know okay what is next, not that you'll be jam packing each and every design or element together. These are examples of space. You see that the space between text, lines, shapes, the image and the logos, there is a space between everything. So take note of your spaces while you want to start while you are designing, and here you have your negative space around the air. These are negative spaces where the designer intentionally left blank. These are the negative space, and you can as well call it as white space. Let's take examples. I'm thinking of checking out my body here, my bad design here. So in this design now, you could see, let's check this one out. You can see badly used of spaces. There are barely any space for the design, for the text or anything. Even the design name as a whole itself is a bad design. Thank God that it's a bad poster design here. Then so there is no spaces between all these text, and the use of other elements are not functioning very well. They are not functioning at all in the design. They aren't functioning at all in the design. So that's a short, and I think probably you understand how space functions by now. So ensure you use spaces in your design, proper spaces, though nothing is actually proper, but at least a reasonable spaces, not that you jam pack your design. So can you see all these space, little spaces, not separating this body from this heading from the body, from the contact info. So those are spaces. The logo is right here, and you have this one just creating another one, and you have your negative space here. So that's the use of space as an element of a design. That brings us to form. I'm not referring to form as forming or forming, form as a design, as an element of graphic design. Keeping form really simple. Form is about 3D objects, making design feel real and dimensional rather than flat. So making your design feel more realistic, that is the form that we need. And to achieve that type of form, you need 3D. You need to implement 3D type of ideas in your designs to get a more realistic type of view. So looking at these two squares down here right now, you see that this is totally flat, while this is looking more realistic like a cube, and they are facing the same way, but this is looking more realistic than this very well. So that is the type of form that we are looking at in your design. That makes your design looks more realistic rather than just having a flat design. Let's take a quick example of how form works. I think I should have a project here that I can use as an example. So like how form works more is like when you add 3D dimensions to your design, giving your design shadow. Here I have this here, 1 2 3. You can see that even as I change the background here, this shape is still there. Now let's add more realistic to this shape. Let's give it a shadow and see what we will have. Let's give it a shadow. Can you see how it's looking more realistic, giving it a 3D dimensional entirely? So that is the form that we are looking at when we are looking at design. It's looking realistic like a cube that is inside there. So that is the form we are looking at. Taking examples of these three letters now. This is a 2D form where it is just flat. This is in 3D, it's looking like a cube, and this one is by adding shadow. It gives it more realistic look. If I close this shadow now, you see how flat the G will go to. See, it's not totally flat, but this is giving it a depth. So let's see, close it and you have a flat design, and now it's looking more realistic. And this as well, if you change it like this, let's just see the decrease. Let me change. Let me do this. So let's close it and see what we have. Can you see? Flat, realistic, flat, and realistic. So ensure you make your idea in your design to have more realistic look. With these icons here, you can see how flat this is looking compared to this. Compared to this, and this is flat. Now these are looking more realistic. So we have more realistic. So a more realistic look. I think put a shadow here, but she looks like she's flying to me. So she's not really looking like she's standing on that particular ground. So she has a shadow. The shadow is not behind her. So that was most designers or most newbies fail to realize that every form in this life has a shadow. So always add shadows to your work, like this spots right here. Let's us go and check the example out. Like this spots right here, this shadow is giving it more realistic look. So let's see what I'm trying to see. I'm not taking this cube out though. I like the cube like that. It's looking good. So I'll make use of that one later. Let me browse this first. Let me see, where is it? My lovely food. Oh, not you. I don't need you. Where is it? Okay, so you can actually not see anything right now, but if I give it a form, you see what is there. So this is a way to use your form to create a realistic look, but that's not where I'm going. There is this other one that I'm trying to use to show the way to give life to what you are designing. Always put it in mind to make use of form while designing. So this right here, right now, so if you are looking at this, let me change this background. It's going to flashing. So when you are looking at this right now, it's normal that the plate is looking like it's dropping, but what if the plate has actually, you can make it have another feeling entirely. It's looking like right now it's looking like it's dropping, but we can make it to look like it's actually on the ground, in which you just have to add shadow to it to give it another form entirely. So let's quickly do that. Let's quickly see what I'm trying to say around here. No, not you. Who asked you to shift? You are the one I'm commanding, so go up, bro. I'm not talking to you. So now we've created its shadow, which wasn't there before, making it looking like it's just reaching the ground. So the leaves and every other ingredient are just pouring out. And as well, if you do it this way and you close the shadow, you just have the another form that the plate is falling entirely. Add your shadow and your plate is on the ground, and remove the shadow, your plate is falling. So that brings us to form ending. That's how form functions, making your design look more realistic. So if you are placing this type of plate on a table now, remember to add your shadow so that it will feel more realistic rather than just being plain or flat. So that's just it about form. And that brings us to the last but not the least, value. So what's value? It's just normal value. Add value to your design. Add your design needs value. I'm just kidding. So value is about lightness and darkness. It is contrast that makes text readable and images more dramatic. So for example, right here right now is darker text on lighter background. That is value, and is as well known as creating of contrast. So let's take a life example of value. Yeah. So how is value applicable here? You have all your text here. Write down here where everything looks brown, while the upper text is more brighter, upper side of the design is more brighter, and our model is there. So you have the light coming from this side, which is radiating on our face, and you can see the brightness is mostly coming from this side, and this face is less of like a reflection of the light. So you can see that the brightness is more on all this side of the model, while this one is just like a reflection of the entire light. So that is how you create value for your designs. You need contrast of text, and here this is more contrast. It's just more of creating contrast. See this one, you make this text more readable now by having it on a darker background, and the image too, they added the light here to make it feel more dramatic, just as we mentioned before. Yeah, I'm getting tired entirely. I'm getting totally tired here. So how do they add value? The value in your design makes your design more more readable, more readable. It's added more readability and more focus to your design, giving it value, how dark and light the designs are. And if we check, let's check the posters. So can you see how light and darkness are used here? The text appears on the darker parts, the Batman, and the lights radiating around in the middle of the design around here. So this is how they create the value. Is it also add depth to your design, just like texture. So it also adds depth and it creates more brightness and darkness. Can you see this now? See the lightning coming out from the side and this thing, and here you have the text here, giving it readable. They place the text on the darker part of the design, making it more readable. And sometimes they place the text on the way designers place the text on lighter parts, just to create something like curiosity. When you are curious, you want to read what is there. And sometimes it's just to create effect. It's not necessarily important. We just use it to create our own dramatic effect. So that is how all elements of designs are used. And when you check very well, all these elements interchangeably works with one another. Let's check web design. We'll be looking at poster all this while. So that you can see that the elements of graphic design are always effective on anything, any branch of design that you are going to be using. So here we have both the principles and elements functioning. We have the alignments there, we have the contrast, we have everything. So here we've talked about line. So can you see line forming a shape here, and here our shape and everything. And you can see the what is it called, the value that we just discussed, the lightning here and the darker part, the lightning here, the lightning down here, and the darker around there. Can you see how they make use of the elements of design in this web design around here, this UI UX design? So that is how the elements just interchangeably works with one another. So you can see how they make use of lines and shapes. And what do they use it? Okay, just more space. You have more space around here, and everything is well used. The alignment, the shapes that is used, the contrast, the space of the texts and the images and everything on this design. You could see it is always applicable no matter what. And how, let me see, they should be, yeah, I think yeah, can you see this picture right here? They are giving it a form of realistic by adding a shadow to the background. If you notice it very well. That brings us to the end of elements of graphic design. So stick around as we will still have more to explore about graphic design, because it's an amazing skill to acquire. Anyhow, later. Ciao.